Hey, welcome back to Cascade Hoops Talk. Billy D here. Join us on Twitter, Cascade Hoops Talk. Also, check out the daily newspaper, CascadeHoopsTalk.com. That's where you can get your daily scores, stories about all the games, as well as any coaching or conference news. Today we have Aaron Siebenthall, the head coach at Ottawa Braves. Coach Siebenthall in his sixth season as head coach of the Ottawa Braves after spending 9 years as an assistant at Ottawa. The Braves are the reigning KCAC champions, and they're coming off a Sweet 16 season. Coach Siebenthall has coached a KCAC Player of the Year, 19 KCAC All-Conference performers, and 3 KCAC defensive team selections. During his 9 years as an assistant to Andy Carrier, Coach Siebenthall earned a strong reputation as an exceptional recruiter of exceptional talent. Welcome, Coach Siebenthall. Really glad to have you on the show. Thank you for being on.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
So, Coach, you recently were named the Kansas Basketball Coaches Association 4-Year College Coach of the Year. What an honor. Congratulations. Can you talk about that award, the association? What does that mean to you as a coach, and what does it mean for Ottawa basketball?
No, I appreciate that. The Kansas Basketball Coaches Association is obviously a grassroots organization in Kansas that really works hard to recognize some coaches, but a lot of players with their all-state programs. And unfortunately, we weren't able to have the All-Star game and the banquet and everything that's associated with those awards for those players and the coaches. But it's a great organization for coaches, run by coaches, and happy to be a part of that. And great honor for me. My name's on the trophy and everything, on the plaque. But I mean, it really is an award for the culmination of a lot of people's hard work, not just mine, but obviously my assistant coaches, our players, all the way down to our administration, training staff, and everybody. So I think it's special because it's compared to all the 4-year coaches across the state. We have great coaches in our league. Then you get into the D2s and the D1s. And, for us to get some recognition for our program, I think it says a lot about where our program is as a whole. And I'm just a small part and kind of the figurehead of that program, but it was definitely a great honor.
Well, yeah, congratulations. I think you should be very, very proud of that. I think it speaks highly of you as a coach, but also, as you say, the program you have there at Ottawa. So, Coach, I just want to kind of understand your background a little better. I know you went to college at Kansas. One of the things that jumped out at me is you played on the women's scout team. Can you talk about that experience when you were in college, and did it give you a better appreciation for the women's game? What did you learn from it?
Yeah, it was a great experience. I'm from Lawrence originally, and so kind of always planned to go to KU. Had some connections with Roy Williams and his staff just from going to school with his son, and hoped to play some JV there. And they ended up getting rid of the JV program. And so I had some friends that were on the scout team. They called it the Dream Team at KU, and they invited me to be a part of that program. And so it was a great experience. I got paid a little bit, got some nice gear. Getting the opportunity just to play basketball in Allen Fieldhouse every day is a lot of fun. And I knew I wanted to coach. I think I was pretty realistic about my own abilities as far as a player. And so I knew coaching was more of an avenue I wanted to explore just because I love the game of basketball. And so being with the women's team at KU really gave me an opportunity to see what coaching was about and kind of learn from the inside out. By my second year working with the scout team, I was taught the other team's plays, and then I would teach it to our scout team. So I kind of became a kind of extension of the coaching staff. And I can still tell you what Oklahoma State or Iowa State was running in 1996, so it was a great experience. Getting to go against those girls, and we were pretty good. I think we went to the Sweet 16, maybe my first or second year. And so had some really good players, and, it doesn't matter if you're that level, if you're male or female. It's competitive, and they're going to knock you down, and they're going to foul you, and they're trying to get their stuff accomplished. And I was lucky enough to be involved in that program under Marion Washington, who's a legendary coach, and learned a lot from her, and probably mostly just how to treat people and just kind of be humble in what you have and what you're given, which she exemplified that every day. So I will tell you that I did learn that I did not want to coach women's basketball. Um, and kind of, I think the, the, the karma, the universe got me because now I have two little girls. So I'll be coaching girls basketball at some point in my life, probably, hopefully just not for a living. So it was a great experience, really kind of shaped my views on coaching. And like I said, there's nothing better than playing basketball in Allen Fieldhouse.
So while you were playing on that scout team, you also that's when you started your foray into coaching. You'd coached AAU youth. You coached the Kansas Kings, and then in 2000, I'm assuming that's when you graduated. You went over to Lawrence High School and you were an assistant and spent some time there. Talk about your high school and coaching youth. Talk about those experiences and what you learned from them.
Yeah. So from 18 on, really, when I started college, I was involved in refereeing biddy basketball and coaching youth sports, and kind of got connected with some people. And the Kansas Kings ended up being a pretty good, pretty salty AAU team. Gary Woodland, who, if you know anything about golf, was on our team. And so I tell people all the time that I taught Gary everything he knows about basketball. That's why he's a professional golfer. So we had a really nice team, and that kind of gave me some connections. And then I went to Lawrence High, so that was my alma mater. And Chris Davis got the job at Lawrence High and interviewed me. Didn't really know him very well, and I was probably more nervous for that interview than I've been for anything in my life. And he luckily saw through the nerves and realized that the nerves because I wanted the job that bad. So he took me on his staff, and I coached there for 6 years as his assistant, either as the varsity assistant or the junior varsity head coach. And he taught me a ton. He was very innovative, willing to try anything. We ran the Grinnell system for a year and had a heck of a time and a lot of fun. He and I are still really good friends to this day. And if it wasn't for working at Lawrence High, I definitely would have never got the job here at Ottawa, because made some connections with the Ottawa assistant coach at the time, who I replaced, and he worked some camps for us and recruited some of our players, and that connection is really what led me here to Ottawa.
So Coach, talk about that transition from Lawrence to joining Andy Carrier over there at Ottawa.
Yeah. So Pete Van Mullen was the assistant for Coach Carrier, and he moved on, and Coach Carrier's kind of rule is, if you come onto his staff and then leave, then that's fine, but you got to help find your replacement. And so Pete, like I said, Pete and I had connection just through him recruiting our players and working some camps together. And so I came in and interviewed with Coach Carrier, and ended up being here, hired as the head assistant. And my first few years, I made $8,600. So I was the head assistant, making a lot of money. But I'll tell you what, I was thrilled and just as excited about it now as I was then. And I can remember being, still pretty young, going around showing people my business cards and thought I was pretty hot stuff. And, when I was at Lawrence High, I had my hands in really about everything and did a lot and called a lot of plays and really, felt like I really contributed a lot. And when I got here with Coach Carrier, he'd been here for 20 years or 15, 16 years by that time. And first couple of days of practice, I wasn't doing a whole lot. And so my role was the recruiting coordinator. And so what I decided was, I'm going to help this program I'm going to be out on the road all the time, and I'm going to go find us, good players and players to help us win championships. And we had a really good core when I got here, and felt like I brought in some good pieces to go with that. And then my second and third year, we ended up winning the conference or the conference tournament and going to the Sweet 16 to the national tournament. And I thought, man, this is pretty easy. I've been here 3 years, and we've been to the national tournament twice, and boy, was I mistaken. It's I kind of maybe took some of that for granted. And so working under Coach Carrier was amazing. Worked for him for 9 years and just learned a ton, learned a lot about defense. I've kind of always been looked at as an offensive guy, I think, and learned a ton about defense. But again, I look back at the people that have really inspired me and motivated me in coaching. I mean, you go back to Marion Washington, Chris Davis at Lawrence High, and then Coach Carrier here at Ottawa. And just what I've learned from all those people is how to treat people, and I think that's a bigger part of coaching than X's and O's is. And so I'm not perfect about it, but I try and treat people the right way and very honest with them. So working for Coach was amazing. And when he decided to retire after 25 years, I kind of had to fighting and scratch a little bit to get the job, and but I'm glad I did, and here I am, starting my 6th year as the head coach.
Well, that's an amazing story. I want to when we get to this year's team, I want to talk to you a little bit more about the recruiting. That seemed to be the skill set that got you noticed. Let's talk a little bit about last year, though. Last year was a very good season for Ottawa. You won the conference championship. As you and I mentioned a minute ago, you lost to Oklahoma Wesleyan in the final for the tournament champion. Oklahoma Wesleyan's a great team. But, so you headed off to nationals, and you played that Thursday morning game against Concordia. And I'm going to remind the world one more time that I chose Concordia over Ottawa. Everybody at Ottawa, by the way, was fantastic about it and realized it was I honestly thought Concordia, but
yeah. Well, they did for about 38 and a half minutes. They were great. So.
But talk about that in the, I'm not even going to say the second half, the last 10 minutes of the game, you guys seemed to have another gear, especially defensively. You really cranked it up defensively. And then you clawed your way back. You really took control of the game. Was that a conscious effort to come back through defense? Did you say anything special to the guys? Because there was a kind of a change. There was a click at about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, we ended up going small, I think, just under 10, maybe closer to 8 minutes. We went small and started pressing. And so it was a definite change we made out of a timeout. And I think our thinking as the coaching staff was it's better to try and press and get back in the game earlier than later and not just run out of time. So, yeah, we went small. For a while, Jackson Mallory, who's our starting point guard, was playing the 5 spot in our offense. That's actually not the first time in the season he went from point guard to 5-man. So we went small and pressed, and we played 9 guys every game. That was our rotation, and I think you add that rotation of 9 guys. Not only are they as fresh as you can be at the end of a season, but also just rotating those guys in and out. And really trusting those 9 guys. Each one of those players at some point during the year led us in scoring as well. So, it's why, Daryl Bowie and Ryan Haskins and Jaquan Daniels and those guys kind of get the most notoriety, and rightfully so. Those are 3 really good players. We had everybody in our team can score the ball, and that was really kind of the fun part about our team is most of the time the guy who was shooting the ball was shooting the open shot because the ball found him. And but no, we really wanted to try and get back with our pressing and try and maybe out athletically, take care of them if we need to. And I think that's what we did. And lucky for us, we started it soon enough. And lucky for us, they let us finish the game. So I was told that the women's tournament, they walked on the court and just canceled the game in the middle of the game.
Oh my goodness.
But I was also told by the Concordia coaches, I saw them in a recruiting event, that if the game would have gone to overtime, they would have canceled the game and ended in a tie. So I guess I'm happy that the NAI and the Redcoats let us finish our season as much as they could, and we're in talks right now to play Concordia again this year if it works out in both team schedules, which I think will be a lot of fun.
Oh, that would be amazing. So Coach, we can't leave that without you talking about that. Daryl Bowie really did a fantastic job bringing you guys. I know it was the whole team, but he really he's a fantastic player. He really played well toward the end. But you ran that last play, and you ran it for Haskins in the corner. And I mean, I'll never forget that shot. And I told you before we started, I think that's the most replayed college play of the year. I see it on Twitter constantly popping up. You got to talk about that play.
Sure. Well, I also want to tell you that Jaquan Daniels was huge in our comeback. I think he ended up shooting 92% from the field for that game because he lived at the rim. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. But we called timeout, and we're down 2, and I just looked at my assistant and said, "Let's just go for the win. Let's just go for it." Again, Jaquan's a great player. Daryl Bowie's a great player, but Ryan Haskins was the heart and soul of our team. He told me this after the game, but in his 4-year career at the junior college and then here at Ottawa, that he never had a game where he didn't make a 3, and he hadn't made a 3 in that game until then. And so it's just a play we practiced every single day. And I tell our guys, we keep it in our back pocket. We're not going to use it unless we need it for a situation like that. And, we had guys in different positions, Jackson Mallory was supposed to be the one in that, but Daryl was the one. We had guys kind of all over the place, and Daryl obviously got a lot of attention when he drove the ball, and people kind of collapsed, and we had a hammer screen on the other side for Haskins, and he was kind of open. Wasn't a great screen, but he was open enough and knocked it down. And
Mallory gets a screen, finds Bowie. Baseline in the corner. 3 ball on the way is up and good by Haskins. Off the bench, delivers a cold-blooded 3. Ryan Haskins puts his team up by 1 with 15 seconds to go. What a shot.
And we get a big defensive stop. They foul us. Daryl makes the free throws for the last points ever in the D2 tournament. And then we get another steal after that, and that's the ball game.
Yeah, it was an amazing finish. It was just an amazing finish. It was such a high and then a low. Like you say, they walked onto the court and ended that game. But at least you got to play that game.
Yep. There's definitely teams that didn't get to even play. There was 2 teams I can't remember. Well, I can look on I think Olivet, Nazarene, and maybe Lincoln or somebody was warming up right after us. I can't remember who was after us, but they were warming up, and so there's teams that didn't even get a chance to play, and it's hard when you win because you feel like you could do more. But yeah, we went in the locker room and celebrated, and I came out to go do my radio show, and they stopped me, and I had to walk right back in the locker room and break those guys' hearts, especially our 5 seniors, and it was tough. But obviously, looking back on it, hindsight being what it is, it's probably the right decision, but doesn't make it any easier.
Nope. Talk about those seniors. You just mentioned them. Obviously, Daryl Bowie. And if you don't know his story, folks, you got to listen to it. Go back, listen to his podcast. KCAC Player of the Year last year, came off the bench. But what is amazing to me is, this guy couldn't get on the court in junior college. And he came to Ottawa and he worked so hard. He ended up being the KCAC Player of the Year. Ryan Haskins, you mentioned him. But just talk about your senior class that graduated.
Sure. Daryl has a great story. It is a great story. And I think what he also mentioned in his interview with you is he worked hard and everything, but he made a change of his attitude, and that's what got him on the court his junior year for us. His demeanor changed, his disposition changed at practice, and when he did that, he's very talented. So when he did that, it was go time for him. And I think he scored 30 against Oklahoma Wesleyan when they were number 1 in the nation, and that was kind of his coming out party. So Daryl's a great story. I already mentioned Ryan's Daryl is preparing to play overseas. I think he's got some interest, and we're looking forward to that. And then Ryan Haskins, heart and soul of our team for sure. He's student teaching right now and coaching some high school and middle school football and basketball, and he's going to be a great educator and coach. And a guy who doesn't get talked about a lot is Matt Balday, who started for us at 3 every game all year. And Matt was just a glue guy, an energy guy, and just brought it every single day. And our motto is energy, effort, and enthusiasm, and that was Matt to a T. That's what he was good at and known for. And then, the 3 other guys to mention, Kyle Patrick, who kind of backed up Mason McDowell, started at the beginning of the year, but backed up Mason and just gave us a great outside presence, great passer, ultimate team guy. Whatever we needed, he did. And then 2 of my seniors that didn't get to play much, but were huge parts of our team just in what they brought every day to practice. And that's Kobe Mead and Eli Ponce, just great guys. And so it's a tough group to lose, but what they've done more than anything besides the winning is they've really established our culture here, and the returners that we have are ready to kind of uphold that culture and see what we can get done this year.
And this year, as you say, is just around the corner. I think in less than 2 weeks, you begin scrimmaging. You did definitely lose some talent, some guys that brought some great success to Ottawa. But you bring back a couple starters, Daniels and Malloy. You bring
Mallory.
back, I'm sorry, Mallory.
That's all right.
Mason McDowell, Andre Jackson, Joe Johnson III. Talk about this group you have returning.
Yeah. Start with Jackson Mallory. He's been starting point guard since he was a sophomore, played varsity as a freshman. I've known him since he was in 4th grade. When I was the assistant coach at Lawrence High, his mom was a head girls coach, and so just good friends with the family. And he's really what makes our team go this year. And simply what he does for us is he just knows his role. He passes the ball, he gets it to the right people. He's not hunting shots. And he's the kind of point guard that I want. He's going to defer to other people when we need him to score. He can, but he knows that's not his role. His role is to get everybody in the right place and get everyone else involved. So having him back and with all that experience is great. Another 4-year guy is Mason McDowell. Mason's extremely, extremely talented. 6'8", can shoot the three. He was 8th in the league in assists last year from the 5 spot in our offense. So kind of tells you how skilled he can be. And then really our other guys, Joe Johnson, the third. Joe had big games for us last year. Like I said, everybody led in scoring at some point last year. And I really look for Joe to kind of pick up where Ryan Haskins left off. I think he can have that kind of year as far as shooting the ball. Really good defensively. Look for big things from Joe. He works his tail off. Then we have Andre Jackson. Andre came off the bench for us last year, but he was really good. He's a big guard that can post up when we need him to. Was also the KCAC Offensive Player of the Week last year, coming off the bench, and so we look for big things from Andre. And then Jaquan Daniels kind of rounds out that group. Was really a big part of our success last year, and huge when our comeback. Was on the all defensive team, second team all conference, and really athletic, can do a lot of things. But we're kind of count on him a lot and play a lot of minutes, so he needs to stay healthy and stay out of foul trouble. So we like that group we got coming back and got some good new additions, and think we can make some noise again this year, excuse me.
Okay, so let's talk about those recruits now. When you, as I mentioned, when you first went over to Ottawa, you got I'm trying to find out what it was called. It was a recruiting coordinator, and you really earned a reputation to bringing in fine talent. And was that something that came easy to you? Was it a natural thing to you? Why do you think you're such a good recruiter?
I think I'm a pretty personable guy. I think I'm confident in going up and introducing myself and talking to strangers and getting to know them and trying to decide if we're a good fit for each other. So, but like I said, with Coach Carrier, he was doing a lot. He was, very in control of what his teams were doing in practice and games. And so for me, I just felt like the way I can contribute, my first couple of years until he really gets to trust me and get to know me, and rightfully so, is to be out on the road recruiting. And so I was just on the road a ton, and you'll hear coaches talk about, oh, it's such a grind and do that. I mean, is it really that hard? I mean, I'm watching high school and junior college basketball for a living. It can't be that hard. I mean, there's people with a lot more difficult jobs than that. So I just enjoyed it. I don't mind driving. I don't, and like I said, I just love basketball. So seeing new things and, just going recruiting was fun for me. And, oftentimes I'd go to watch a certain kid, and then I'm sitting in the stands and talking to other coaches, and then I find out about 2 or 3 more kids from those coaches. So, recruiting isn't just, going and watching 1 or 2 kids. Recruiting is, just the networking of meeting new coaches, and some of my best friends in the coaching business are people that I've recruited against, people I've recruited their players off of junior colleges. And so I think it came natural, and it came from my desire to want to help our program when I first got here. And that was the best and most efficient way for me to do that. So, I don't, as the head coach, I'm obviously more focused on the current team we have, but we're always recruiting. I don't get out as much, but I have an incredible staff that I trust very much. And they do a great job of getting out, and they kind of funnel the top guys to me, and then I try and seal the deal. And it's worked well, and we hope it'll continue.
You've had a pretty good pipeline with Highland Community College. Is that a relationship that you've had for a while? You've got a lot of good players out of there.
Yeah, for sure. Their assistant coach, John Oler, who used to be the head coach at KCK. When I was in high school at Lawrence High, he was an assistant coach and helped out. And so we just kind of developed a relationship there. And then I recruited some of his guys when he was at Kansas City, Kansas Community College. And now with him being the assistant at Highland, I mean, he's definitely helped us in that. And Coach Cole, the head coach there, is great. And, they're the kind of guys that they want their players to go on and play at the best level for them. They're not caught up on sending everybody D1 or D2. They want guys that are going to go play at a level where they can fit in and have a good career, and I look at our 3 Highland guys and Ryan Haskins and Jaquan Daniels and Andre Jackson. And I honestly believe those guys are good enough to play at a higher level. But would the experience be the same? Would they have as much playing time, as much fun? Probably not. So it's nice to recruit from programs where they want the best for their guys moving forward, not just what kind of looks flashy on paper or on the internet.
So this season, you brought many players in. I think quite a few. I don't know the exact number, but
I don't either.
Can you talk a little bit about this year's recruiting class? How you feel about it? You think you got any diamonds in the rough there?
Yeah, for sure. The two that stick out right away that I know are going to play a lot for us are Perry Carroll. Perry is a Ottawa product, Ottawa, Kansas product, and he went to Allen County Community College in the Jayhawk Conference here, and was their leading scorer and all-conference guy. And he went to Fort Hays in D2 last year and played some, had some success. Just wasn't probably the right fit for him as far as their style of offense. And again, a guy that I recruited as their assistant coach and called me up and said, hey, I think Perry's going to transfer. Do you guys have some interest? And we were definitely interested and excited to get Perry. Wish we had him for more than 1 year, but he's gonna add something definitely to our team. I think I kind of tell people he's kind of a type of guard that's in between a Darryl Bowie and a Jackson Mallory as far as, passing the ball and scoring the ball. So I think he can do a lot for our team. And then the next one is Ian Moore. Ian's another junior college transfer. He's from Northern Arkansas Community College, and he's a scorer, shoots a lot of threes. For just a point of reference, Ryan Haskins made 82 threes last year in our games. Ian made 92 threes and played in one less game.
Wow.
So, but he can definitely shoot the three, but he can score it too. He's good, good with the ball, good off the bounce. So we like those guys. And then probably my next guy is John Long. He's a 1-year guy out of Pratt Community College that I recruited out of high school, and he went and played at Pratt and had some success. He's a lefty, kind of sneaky athletic that can really shoot it. And then I got a whole bunch of freshmen that I'm really excited about, but we've only had 2 practices, and so I don't really know which one of them are gonna step up and play a lot for us. We a lot of our size is actually in our freshman class. We kind of recruited some young size deliberately. And so some of these young guys, especially the bigger ones, are definitely going to have to play a little bit for us. So we'll see who kind of comes out from the pile when we get ready to play.
So, Coach Siebenthall, that KCAC is not going to get any easier. Last I looked, Oklahoma Wesleyan's still there, Tabor's still there. I mean, the whole up and down. Everybody, it's a tough conference. So you're retooling a bit this year. You lost the player of the year. You lost some guys who are, as you said, glue guys. What's it going to take for Ottawa to continue to do well in the KCAC this season? What do you think your keys are?
Yeah, I think for me, I don't think we're going to be quite as deep. I don't think we're going to be 9 deep. I think we're going to be 7 or 8 deep. Size-wise, we're going to be smaller than we were last year, and we weren't very big last year. So for us, we got to stay healthy. That's a thing where last year, if we had an injury here or there, we could probably overcome it. But this year we're going to have to stay healthy, and we got to kind of stay flexible and positive. I mean, this is crazy. We're coming out of a 2-week quarantine, and it's going to be one of those years, kind of only the strong will survive, and so we got to be mentally tough. And if a game gets postponed or rescheduled or whatever, we're going to have to just understand that's the way it is, for now. And I think that's going to play a toll on teams in college basketball this year just as much as anything else, I believe.
Yeah.
So, and it's hard to do as a coach too. You got to kind of put on that face of, hey man, it doesn't matter what they throw at us. When we play, we got to be ready. And so I think those are my concerns. My concern with my team always too on the court is we're small. Rebounding is always an issue. We actually try and combat that with the fact that we play really fast. And if you crash the offensive glass very hard and don't get the rebound, we're probably laying it up on the other end. So that's kind of how we combat that. But, I'm confident the group we have back will uphold our culture and kind of what we believe in and how we play. And I really like our new guys and how they're fitting in. So it's definitely going to be a crazy year. And the KCAC is going to be super tough. I mean, it just gets harder and harder every year. The level of basketball and athleticism in our conference the last 5, 6, 7 years has just gone through the roof. And I assume it's just going to keep getting more and more intense. So, but we're ready to play whenever they tell us, and we're excited about it. And it should be an interesting year.
Yeah. You talked about the level of play. I've mentioned several times. I've seen it in my lifetime just kind of explode. I've always attributed it to the NC2A Division III flight that happened 15, 20 years ago. I think that did away with a lot of scholarships that had been out there. But now with single division NAIA we're not quite sure how that's going to affect everything, but it's definitely going to make it more competitive. You know, for example, here at the end of the month, you're playing Baker. So a team that you might just play in a preseason game, but now you may end up facing them down the road in a postseason tournament. So
Right.
it's really going to change the landscape for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I think the one division, I mean, be quite honest, I obviously wasn't in favor of it. You know, being able to go to Sioux Falls and play up there in the Pentagon was an amazing experience. And you know, just taking the final 8 teams or whatever to Kansas City just isn't going to be the same. So
exactly.
You know, it is what it is. We got to do what we can. I think you'll still see a pretty obvious split between the former D1s and the former D2s. I mean, there's a reason that each was in that respective division. So, but I do think that division is not as big as it was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I think, you know, the scholarship limits were changed a little bit. So it'll definitely be interesting. I think I'd be really surprised the first few years if a D2 team makes it to the Final Four, but who knows? I mean, basketball is a great game, and at the end of the day, you put guys out there that can play, and you kind of roll it out and see what happens.
Well, it'll be interesting. I think a lot of people, including myself, are going to join you in missing that 32-game tournament. It was quite an event, and I looked forward to it every year. It's very sad for me to see that go away. I think that's one of the things in my mind that built such a strong community amongst all the teams and fans, staffs. But, you know, the world changes and we'll change with it.
Yep, for sure.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time and coming on the show. And I want to wish you best of luck this season. And you only got a little bit of time to get ready before your first scrimmage. So you better go back to work.
Yeah, well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you having us on and just appreciate everything you do for NAI and small college basketball. And, you know, we'll be forever indebted to you guys, and we'll keep following along and interacting on Twitter and having a good time with it. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
All right. Take care.